Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Friday, April 14th, and we are rounding out the week right now. We're looking at DXY, and DXY swept the February lows and has now, formed a bit of a tweezer bottom and is moving higher. It is now above 101.5. We told the Trade the Chain community that we wanted to see it close below 101.5 for the bulls. It's currently above it. We do not know if this will close as is, but it does look strong as it is engulfing. So very much something to be mindful of. If you are bullish, this could rain on the parade, at least today, or potentially into the weekend. So looking at equities, this morning we had a nice boost above 41.50, got up to 41.60, and then immediately was sold back down. And this was a bit surprising, and we're kind of seeing the same thing reflected on the Bitcoin chart right now. So, where we would expect equities to bounce based on, if we did not bounce here, we said we'd move lower, and I would expect the VWAP to come into play here. So probably around 41.20, 41.15, somewhere in this area, I would expect a bit of a catch. It could also catch, right here where it is, kind of the top of the VWAP band. But I would, if I were you, or if I were trying to trade this, I would wait for a tap at the VWAP to see if we get a bounce or potential, acceptance lower. So that's kind of what I would be looking for in equities, but definitely a bit surprising. We don't really have too much. We did have, retail sales data, which was down. That, was well before the boost from this morning. So I'm not entirely sure what's kind of causing this. Consumer sentiment is also up, which dropped about an hour ago. Business inventory is pretty decent. So I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the U.S. retail sales definitely is the most shocking data, but that was quite early this morning and would have been reflected, in the 5 o'clock hour, and we got a boost in the 6 o'clock hour. And of course, I'm talking Pacific time. So if I say 5, I'm meaning, 8 a.m. Eastern. But it is a bit surprising. But price is the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, and I would expect price to likely, accumulate down here near the VWAP. And of course, if it breaks through the VWAP, it's a good short. If it catches at the VWAP, that's a good long. So looking at Bitcoin, I don't know why I'm on the daily here. Let's get back to the 1 hour. So looking at the 1 hour, actually, let me just go back to the 1 day really quickly just to show you resistance. And we've talked about this before, but 32.4 is the high from May of 2022. And that's really the, pardon me, that's really kind of the target that many of the bulls want to hit. But we obviously tagged 31 on the dot overnight and then have sold off ever since. So based on this, your first kind of target would be the 29.9 area, which is the VWAP. And then of course the low that will the low from Wednesday was all the way down here to 29.6, but you would expect 29.8 to start to catch, 29.8, 29.9, this little area right here, you would expect to act as support. Comes down here, bullish structure still intact. You can move higher without really any issues. And then of course, if you start creeping down here, you can of course still catch there and move higher without any issues because you have this low. And I'm sure this moving average will start to accumulate higher. It starts to get tricky here. So then you're starting to take very big chances. So 29.8 is where I would start to look for longs, potentially up to 28.9. And then, if you have a stop, your stop should be below the Wednesday low, because your price could certainly wick down there again, sweep this low, and then head higher, which would cut your long and then see it price move higher, which would very much piss you off. So be aware that if you are longing around 29.8, 28.9, I'm sorry, 29.8, 29.9. If you are longing in this area, you may see a wick down to 29.6. So it may be good to put some bids there if you don't want to long here, as you may get a nice catch with an easy stop. Or you just, if price does get down here, you don't want to long, you think it's going to short. If it breaks 29.6, if it closes below 29.6, then you could start shorting further, targeting, the low 29 area, which would be this range right here. So obviously I really do not think that crypto is just going to, do something like this. Well, let me get rid of some of these. We're starting to get a lot of drawings on here, so don't want to confuse anybody. I personally do not think crypto does something like this. I think it's more likely that we see something like this, or we consolidate around here like this before moving lower. So I really don't think, even though we're getting some nice volatility today, it is important to note that Americans, the U.S. session has been selling crypto a lot. Selling here, selling here, pretty, was selling, we tried to get higher and then sold into that high. So the US session has been, seemingly bearish, but we continue to head higher. So until that trend is changed, I am of course still bullish. And, we do not want to fight the trend. The trend is obviously still bullish. We do not have any, HTF, higher time frame confirmation of the trend being over. I will say, if you are trading this trend, that trend could be over. But if you're talking about the bull trend, the bull trend is right here. So we can still get down to 29.8 and be bullish. We could even, continue to drop here all the way down to that 29.6 level and bounce here and still be bullish, because you'd sweep those lows, you'd bounce here, tag the low end of the VWAP channel, and then move higher. So that's completely plausible as well. And then obviously, if you break through here, your first line of defense is the 2028. Well, you obviously have this little range right here. So, low 29s. And then if that breaks, then you're back to 28.8, which is, more or less the resistance from this huge ass range. And then, if you break down here, that's what you're looking at. But I really do not think by Monday we are, we're down here. I think crypto is going to put up I think Bitcoin is going to put up a pretty solid fight around 30K. And then if 30K breaks, then we'll look back to 28.8 and, don't want to stress ourselves out. So we've had a great run. There's no need to continue to overextend yourself while trading. If you've traded this well and you've been long and strong as we've been, as our bias has been, then you've had a pretty good week, and maybe you just enjoy your weekend and leave a couple of longs on the board and with stops, and or you just take a break this weekend, because we had a pretty big week, and we could definitely just consolidate into the weekend. That would not be entirely unusual for crypto, but as long as we continue to maintain above the 29.8 level, I am bullish. So 29.8 to me is the new 26.6, where you remember the low from all the way down here that we could not break through. So I have a feeling that 29.8 is going to be the new 26.6. And if we end up getting down there, I'll probably end up looking for some more longs. And obviously, my suggestion is your stop should be beneath the low from Wednesday, as you could definitely see a wick down there before any rise in price action. So looking at ETH, obviously big drop down. We told the TTC community if 2090 breaks, then we'll probably more or less see 2030 to 2040. We're still above that, still plenty of time left. So in my opinion, and just to zoom out in case you want to call BS, this was the line right around 2990. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these lines, draw some new stuff for you guys. So the reason this number this line is drawn is because it coincides with the high of this disgusting little range that we traded in May of 2022. So that is, this is kind of very similar for Bitcoin. If I kind of zoom out for you guys, Bitcoin's, the range that we want to see it go in coincides with this range from May of 2022. So Bitcoin's, the high of that range is 32K. Obviously, it does look a little bit ugly on the daily right now, which is important to note. And if the daily does close this ugly, then I would say we're definitely back down to that 29.8 level. But just comparing that to Ethereum, it's pretty much the same time frame. It's that May 2022 high, and it nearly tagged it, but did not completely tag it. Now, it doesn't need to fully tag it, but it would be a little bit unusual with how bullish crypto has been. So in my opinion, ETH is probably doing something like this. If you wanted to long starting at around 2045 down to 2030, then maybe set your stop just below kind of 2020 because we could wick down and tag that high before moving higher. So very much something to consider there. Oops, I just went back to daily. My apologies there. And then, you could just bounce here at the 2050 level. I mean, it is a nice round number. It is the top of the VWAP band, but in my opinion, you probably want to play a little bit safer. Of course, if we do start to get bought back up here and we close with a massive wick, then maybe you want to start trading up. But I think patience is a virtue during U.S. trading session hours. Again, a lot of selling during U.S. session. Of course, ETH was a little bit more bullish yesterday, as obviously, I mean, we had what was this price jump? I think this is a 5%, 6% price jump, so that is a bit unusual compared to the U.S. session selling, but we have seen majority selling during U.S. session. Asia session has been majority buying, so very much something to consider there. That's why I'm still bullish. I'm not, just one session of selling is not enough to convince me that the trend is over. And obviously that we have not seen anything proving that the trend is over. So one thing I guess to be cognizant of is, this trend is a bit dead, but you of course still have the larger trend here that, that would coincide with a drop back to, near 2030 crap, gets down here to, maybe 2020 and then does something like this. So in my opinion right now there, although I am bullish, I totally trade the chain community. There's no reason to, it's best to long pullbacks. We are getting a pullback. We have not seen any confirmation to get in. What we typically like to see from knife catching candles is obviously we want to see a nice doji form. We also want to see the follow-up candle have a large amount of buy volume. So just kind of like if the follow-up hourly form the same type of hourly buy candle as this right here, then that would be a good buy entry, because what it's telling you is that price is moving up pretty much in a vacuum with high volume. And so that, I'm probably not describing it as best as I possibly could, but typically if price is moving quickly, then there's a gap in the order book and the volume is accumulating, is moving that price higher, or the volume, the entry, the volume traded is basically, I don't know why I can't describe this correctly. So basically what you want is increased volume with price accumulating the majority of the previous candle body. So you don't need to immediately close above 2090, but if you get a new candle that freshly brings you back up to 2080 with a large amount of buy volume, that is a good sign, because basically the order books just got cleaned up, buy volumes coming in. And sellers now have to react, which they were typically unable to do because there was no sells in the book. So they could then come in, which they will do sometimes. But the goal is to, catch good volatility with good volume, and that typically will signal a bottom. So I'll try. Let me see if I can figure out. Well, obviously, so right here, easy. Let me zoom in. Right here. It's the easiest way is to always pull up an example. So right here, we sold off in this candle, right? And we had this sell volume candle. Then we had then we had like an engulfing candle with more buy volume than sell volume. So and if you're looking at that, that's an automatic buy every single 9 times out of 10. I can't say every single time, but 9 times out of 10. So then price rose 3%. So, and let me see if I can find another one. This is not the best one because price moves so high, but right here. So we have, sell volume candle. Then we have a buy volume candle that accumulated most of the previous candle, and the buy volume was nearly equal to the sell volume. What happened after that? Price moved 3%. Same exact situation as that. So, I'm not saying this is foolproof, but this is extremely valuable to anybody, using or trying to catch bottoms. So, take that and run. We'll try and cover a little bit more of that in the future, because I find that to be very valuable when trying to catch bottoms, and it works pretty much hourly, 15-minute, 5-minute, as well. So great for scalps as well as swings. So it looks like we have a question. Can you give thoughts on XTP? I don't know if I've ever traded XTP in my life. Looks like it's on Bybit. We'll look at the perpetual contracts. I'm sure you're probably leverage trading this. So, oh gosh. Let's see. Let's zoom out a little bit further. So I guess just for context, I do not know anything about this coin. I don't think I've ever even heard of this coin. But let's go ahead and just get our resistance figured out here. Got resistance up here. Got some support, looks like right here for now. Doesn't really, I guess it coincides with that, but so got a pretty ugly doji forming on the daily, still a lot of time left in the day, and we're just above the VWAP. Okay, so if it holds the VWAP, I'm going to say it does something like this and moves back towards the high from Thursday, sweeps that high, maybe goes higher. If you lose the VWAP, then you will probably start to consolidate around the previous daily close, which is that 512 level, 5123. And if you lose that, then you're probably just going to end up trickling down to sweep Wednesday's lows again. So the VWAP is right now at 5153. Price is obviously holding above the VWAP. So if price can stay above the VWAP, it may, accumulate a little bit and then have a Dalai Lama up higher. If you lose the VWAP, you will probably accumulate near the previous daily close as well as the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. So basically this whole kind of area is a support zone. And if you lose this area, then you will end up dropping down to around 50 cents, potentially this low right here. So that is my outlook there. I don't know if we have XTP on TTC, but let's check it out. Ignore that data. That's very stale. As you could see, it had Ethereum at 1700, but XTP, no, we don't have XTP. So unfortunately, I can't check the sentiment out. But oh wait, I just did XRP instead of XTP. So my apologies. That is the Ripple chart. So I just charted Ripple for all you guys, not XTP. That is completely a brain fart with it being before 9 a.m. in my neck of the woods. So you just got an XRP chart. I will do XTP as well. So, that's why, because I did type it in correctly, but I clicked the XRP on Bybit. So for some reason, this is only trading on Bittrex. Yeah, I mean, wow. Okay. Now I kind of get what you're looking at. Look at the price. Okay. So this is pretty much 30% swings. Yeah. Okay. Now I get why you're trading this. Now I get it. Okay. So this is going to be extremely tough to trade. Just looking at this chart. I mean, it's an absolute freak fest. But let's go ahead and get some resistance. So price topped out around here previously. Also coincides with that candle body close, I should say. And then, current support right here, previous support, I guess all the way down here. So if it really can't hold this, this level that I have drawn out, because I mean, the numbers are just crazy. So if it can't hold this level, then it's going to break down. So what I'd like to see is something like this, gets back up here, bounces here, moves back up, gets above the VWAP, or it's just going to end up trickling down here. So I've never looked at this chart before, and I don't know why. I guess the XRP I actually have charted. I just didn't have it charted on the Bybit chart. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. So I mean, if you're looking for risk reward, previously, when it gets down here on Sunday as well as Tuesday, as even, dating back to the 4th of April, every time it gets down to this level, it has piped up. So, we do kind of have a power of 3 here, 1, 2, 3 taps. So, the third tap is kind of what you'd want, but I would, this is tough because even if you set a tight stop, you're still going to lose 5%. So, I mean, you're basically risking 5% to try and make at least 10 to 15. So that's not a bad trade. So if you were entering here, you'd probably set your stop below the low from today, but you would have to recognize that, these lows from both Tuesday and Sunday could get swept as well. So, this is a tricky trade because I'm sure a lot of people would, executed the same trade that I was thinking. I'm going to long here. I'm going to set my stop down here, and then price went all the way here. Swept your stops and then immediately moved higher. In move 30% higher in 5 hours. So that's a tough one, but you do know that multiple times it has bounced at this level. So typically you want to play the trend until it's broken. So that's kind of my advice, but I probably will not be taking any trades on this asset. So yeah. So my last final note is we discussed this before, but the Bitcoin daily definitely a little ugly. It's still a lot of time left in this daily. So, take it with a grain of salt for now and definitely monitor it today. 12 hours now engulfing. Definitely not what you want to see heading into the weekend. But again, plenty of time left. I think there is over 9 hours, 10, 11. It's not 12. It's about 11 hours left until the daily close. And of course, there's still, this is about to close, but not as ugly as you would really expect. The 12 hours still has plenty of time left in it. This started at 5 a.m., so it'll run to 5 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, the daily will close at 8 p.m. Eastern as well. So, like I said, lots of time for this to play through. Again, I think longing dips is a good prerogative. And big sell volume candle here. Last time we got that, we held the low. So that's also important. So this, we could be seeing the low for today. So that's pretty much what I'm saying. Again, you've listened to me day in and day out. I've been bullish. I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm still bullish. I think longing pullbacks is your friend, but I don't think you're going to get, 5 to 20% trades just hitting along on a pullback. You have to wait for price to develop. You have to line out your key areas. You have to, dictate where you want your risk to be. So if we get back above the previous daily close before tagging any of this down here, I may enter a long. But, personally, I'd like to see, a couple hours of price action to see how the US session reacts to this dip and to see if we can get back up any critical level. And then I'll get back into things. And very similar for ETH. Is, ideally I wanted to long the 2030, 2040 level, pretty darn close. But again, this is only one single candle. We haven't seen any follow through. We haven't seen any follow up. So I'm going to be patient for the next couple hours, wait to see if my targets get hit. And if they do, then I'll take my trades that I mentioned, right around this area for ETH, right around this area for Bitcoin. I guess I'll circle them for you guys again, right here. Stop would be pretty much right here. And then, ideally I'm taking a trade around this area for ETH, and stop would probably be beneath the high from the 13th. So good luck. Happy trading. Have a great weekend. We will see everybody Monday. And just final note, I don't think there's any major data next week. Yeah, nothing major in the beginning of the week. So whatever we have that close this week out and into the weekend, that momentum should probably continue into next week. So good luck. Happy trading. Speak to everybody soon.